What's up guys, Blade Master here, bringing you the first battle in the unit ban tournament. For those of you who are wondering why this has not been edited, I just don't have the time to edit the battles in the same fashion as I did in the Fear the Forest tournament, simply because there are just so many battles that I need to upload, and also because I don't really have the time to do it. So you're just going to have to suffice with regular battle commentary for now. Does that mean that I will stop the editing in the Fear the Forest tournament? No, but those will just take a longer time to upload. But I'll definitely upload them to the channel eventually. So for the first round in the unit ban tournament, this is a match played between Arcticshieldbreaker from the Zeal clan and Atheas from the Agartha clan. They are fighting in the Raha Minefield. This is a pretty cool map. It's got a bunch of shallow water areas, which lowers the speed of any units that cross over it, which could lead to some strategic positioning by a smart player. Let's see if either of these are smart players. So it's a clash between two heavyweight factions in this. It's the Alans. Arcticshieldbreaker is taking the Alans, and Atheas is taking the Vandals. And as part of the unit ban tournament, the rules will be provided in the description, but a short description is a max of 6 total melee and shock cavalry, not including the general, so you can bring a horse or cavalry general along with them. So that would be a max 7. But this does not restrict horse skirmishers. Horse skirmishers can be brought to a maximum of 4, and they won't be counted in your cavalry limit. And you can ban 1 unit from your opponent's roster. So for the first game, since both of these players have taken the powerhouse faction, both of them have banned the powerhouse unit for each of these factions. Both of them have banned the Noble Alani cavalry. So without Noble Alani cavalry, I think the Alans have a pretty big advantage over the Vandals, simply because they have better infantry. The Vandal Berserkers are decent, but they won't be able to compare to the Agartha. And but besides that, both of them are pretty similar. So let's see what Shieldbreaker has brought. He's brought a total of, I would think, 6 Noble Germanic Horsemen. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see 4 Noble Germanic. Okay, only 4 Noble Germanic Horsemen. A couple of Sarmatian Cataphracts, which is interesting. And he's pretty cleverly circumvented the rules here by bringing a couple of Sarmatian Cataphract archers as well. This is a move that was pulled off on him by Prussian Prince in the Fear the Forest tournament. I'll link that video in the description if you guys haven't seen it. He's also brought an Alani general, heavy shock cavalry general, pretty strong, but whenever you bring a shock cavalry unit, you're always taking a risk, because after the charge dissipates, it's very easy for them to get caught in melee and then die. Let's see if he's put brace. He has put brace on his general, which is a smart move. He's brought a lot of pikes, it looks like. He's brought 3 pikes, it's not that much. 3 pikes, and only 3 archers. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 Germanic archers. Brought 1 elite Agartha as the third line, and another elite Agartha as the final, or at his back basically. And he's also brought 1 Sarmatian warband, 1. I thought I saw a Noble Germanic swordsman. Nope. And he's brought 1 Sarmatian spears as well. Sarmatian Cataphract archers took a couple of kills from the Germanic archers from Atheas. So, in terms of build quality, this is a pretty decent build. Kind of lacking in, the sturdy infantry that the Alans have, but it's those, Noble Germanic swordsmen don't really serve much of a purpose when you have access to elite Agartha. So for Atheas, he's brought a total of 5 Germanic archers. He's brought, he's brought Alani horsemen, 3 Alani horsemen, a couple of, let me put this on regular speed. Couple of Royal Swaby cavalry, I would say. Yeah, a couple of Royal Swaby cavalry, which is a very very interesting move. 3 Alani horsemen, couple of Royal Swaby cavalry. That's 5, and probably 1 more like Alani horseman somewhere else, and 1 Vandal warlord. And he's brought a front line of Vandal berserkers. No pikes for him, except 1. No, he's brought a couple of pikes as well. 2 Germanic pikes. Now he's going to move up with 1 of his Alani horsemen to try and put pressure on the Germanic archers for Shieldbreaker. Doesn't look like Shieldbreaker's taking the bait. He's instead going to pursue them with his Noble Germanic horsemen. The archers are kind of losing the skirmish engagement so far, but the Sarmatian Cataphract archers for Shieldbreaker are in a pretty dangerous position. They can get some shots onto these Royal Swaby cavalry, and they can prove themselves to be very useful. if they can do that. But they're getting smashed by these Vandal Berserkers because of the precursor javelins, and it looks like Shieldbreaker has basically wasted his Sarmatian Cataphracts here. He's forced to pull out with one of his Sarmatian Cataphracts as well, because the Alani Horsemen and the Royal Suebi Cavalry are chasing after them. It's not a good, these initial engagements are not good for Shieldbreaker at all. The Sarmatian Cataphracts pulling back and just charging into these Alani Horsemen. They're going to destroy them, but the Royal Suebi Cavalry are coming in to support. But yeah, the big problem for Shieldbreaker is he's wasted his cavalry advantage by basically wasting his Sarmatian Cataphract archers, and these Cataphract archers with their pretty decent amount of ammunition could play a pretty decent role late game, but of course they're going to be useless because they're wavering and basically dead. The Royal Suebi Cavalry have been forced into quite a premature engagement here though, and these are very expensive units, and as they're getting shot at by archers, they're going to start dropping very quickly. So that's kind of a concern for Atheas. The Alani Horsemen are going to lose to Noble Germanic Horsemen. They are pretty cost-effective cavalry, but they just won't be able to last to the Noble Germanic. They even have a penalty in terms of, or they even have a disadvantage in terms of mass, so which of course plays a pretty big role. Using his Sarmatian spears quite late, way too late in my opinion, and then following up with the infantry. They have the I think those are 10 bonus versus cavalry spears, the pretty crappy tier spears. Bringing his pikes here to dissuade the Alani Horsemen from charging in, and then charging with his own Noble Germanic Horsemen, except they're going to get caught by Royal Suebi Cavalry, and that's the end of them. So pretty good engagements here for Atheas early game. Very well played, I think. Smart play from him. But the Royal Suebi Cavalry here is kind of a concern, these ones over here. The Elite Agathos still haven't been used by Shieldbreaker yet, and they needed to have been brought into the game so much quicker. That said, the Vandal Berserkers, although they are getting closer here, they still haven't been brought into the battle here. Noble Germanic Horsemen going to get killed by Vandal Berserkers. I don't know whom he's... okay, so Shieldbreaker is firing with his Germanic archers onto the Vandal Berserkers. Not the smartest, could just destroy the Royal Suebi Cavalry instead. Noble Germanic Horsemen have to pull out here, otherwise they'll get caught by the spears. Sarmatian Cataphract archers come back from routing, and they can play a pretty big role here, just charging in, rear charging into Vandal Berserkers, and maybe catching some of the Germanic archers as well. Royal Suebi Cavalry here getting destroyed by pikes. Not really sure what Atheas is doing here. Bit of mismicro, a huge bit of mismicro. Of course, there's a lot going on in the battle right now, so you can't really blame him. Vandal Berserkers, as long as they charge into 3-4 rank deep pikes, they're going to get slaughtered. And the Germanic pikes are really doing an excellent role here for Shieldbreaker. This is something you rarely ever see in a Total War Attila game, let alone one played in a tournament. Elite Agathosai here destroying the Alani Horsemen. They are getting shot at by archers. No, Atheas is not focusing on them at all. He's instead focusing on the Noble Germanic. And the Royal Suebi Cavalry, they're getting a pretty decent charge onto the Elite Agathosai. Here, the Vandal Warlord is going to completely destroy the Noble Germanic Horseman, I think, as long as he pops Brace. But that said, he is in a pretty precarious position because the Germanic archers can keep firing into this blob. Alani General getting 73 kills, destroying a Vandal Berserker. The Germanic Pikes doing very well so far. He hasn't used them in a straight line. He's instead put them into just certain little situations where they would actually prove to be pretty useful. And he's done really well with his pikes in that regard. Sarmatian Warband charging into into Vandal Berserkers. It looks like the tide of the battle is slowly turning in Shieldbreaker's favor here. Smart use of his pikes and pretty decent use of his Germanic archers as well has really proved to be his calling card in this game. The Noble Germanic Horsemen dying to the Vandal Warlord. But as long as the Germanic archers keep getting shots into this, Shieldbreaker will be a happy person. Vandal Berserkers charging into Sarmatian Spears. Meanwhile, the Elite Agathosai, the Sarmatian Warband getting 143 kills. Really well done. And this is definitely in Shieldbreaker's favor. The Alani General has been used pretty well here. He's going to charge into the Vandal Warlord, and I think this is the end of the Vandal Warlord here. Using the Germanic archers as a meat shield, basically. and then charging in with his Alani General. Look at the number of kills they're getting on the Vandal Warlord. These are very tanky cavalry units that the Alani General is getting good kills on. There's also Pop Grace. This is very smart play here, and the Vandal Warlord is basically dead. They're already down to half strength. As for the rest of the game, it's just a matter of Shieldbreaker charging in to mop up and kill these Germanic archers, or maybe even turning around his pikes to hit the Vandal Berserkers. Here is the problem with using Berserkers. When you have pikes, they have no problem just charging straight into the front of the pikes, because they're, what's the term? They're out of control. Yeah, they're out of control. So they'll just keep charging into the front of pikes, and that'll lead to pikes getting 58 kills and a single experience chevron on such important melee infantry units. So they're just going to keep chasing after them, and then they're not going to be of any use to the Vandals. The Vandal Warlord, meanwhile, has been destroyed. Alani General triple bronze chevron by the end of the game. He's been so instrumental in winning Shieldbreaker this match. So I think it's pretty much safe to say that Shieldbreaker has won the first game. Very well played to him. Vandal Berserkers here, just a couple of them left, and the pikes just done so well for Shieldbreaker, I think. The Elite Agatha could have been used better. They were a bit late in supporting the engagements, but the pikes were the surprise unit which performed well. And of course the Alani General did very well too. Atheas just didn't use his shock cavalry very well. Put them into premature engagements. You can see the Royal Suebi cavalry here. Huge waste of money. 53 kills and 20 kills on units that cost like 875 talents. It's just not worth it at all. Alani Horsemen, it was a risk bringing these units. Maybe he could have brought some Noble Germanic instead. He did spend the extra money on Vandal Berserkers, and for the most part they did pretty decently, although a couple of them didn't do too well. So yeah, I think the Alani Horsemen were the biggest disappointment here, and then losing his Vandal Warlord also was a pretty big turning point in the game. Anyways guys, that's the end of this battle. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more. Peace.